Hello and welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Juliet.
Hi, Juliet. I'm Brendan. Thank you so much for having me on, Juliet. It's so wonderful to talk to you.
Do you want to talk to us about some of the other shows that you do?
Yes, I'd love to. I'm a game designer. I do video games and tabletop games, but I'm also a podcaster. I host a monthly design conversation show called Paper Labyrinths that I do with Nick Tringali, where we talk about the intersection of different design disciplines, where analog meets digital, where board games meet video games, where ARGs meet tabletop, all kinds of neat things. I'm also the host of Oathsworn, an actual play podcast that just wrapped up, and a prisoner watch-along podcast called The Prisoner's Dilemma.
Which also just ended recently.
I didn't plan it this way, but 2 of my 3 shows basically ended within a couple of weeks of each other.
And I will recommend to the listener, if you have any interest or familiarity with the old TV show, The Prisoner's Dilemma, that is a great one. And also, if you are, interested in game design and Magic the Gathering, which you might be listening to this episode, check out especially the most recent episode of Paper Labyrinths with Cameron Kunzelman, where you will talk a lot about kind of some of the different intersections of logistics with commentary and criticism and Magic the Gathering as a long-running design property in some interesting and different ways.
Yeah, it was really exciting. Cameron's written a book about speculation, science fiction, and video games.
The World is Born from Zero, which you can...
Yes. And a forthcoming book on Assassin's Creed, and is currently working on a big history of Magic the Gathering and what it is and how it came to be the thing that it is. And I'm really, really excited to get my hands on it. We talk a lot about that in the whopper of an episode that Juliet is referring to. So please give it a listen.
On the podcast Paper Labyrinths. I wonder if we could say that since Cameron's Assassin's Creed book is forthcoming, is the Magic the Gathering book fifth coming?
We can. I know for a fact that Cameron would not. I can picture in my mind's eye the scrunched up face that Cameron is making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Brendan,
Hello.
With all of these things considered, can you tell me about one of your favorite flavors?
Juliet, I'm so glad you asked. I am the biggest dang Final Fantasy nerd in the world. I actually have a trophy. I have several signed papers up on my wall. I've been inflated to massive size and carried down the street in parades.
You've the Guinness plaque
exactly.
For biggest Final Fantasy fan in America, biggest Final Fantasy fan in North America, biggest Final Fantasy fan in the world. You paid for each one.
There's black and white photos of me shaking hands with political figures where you're kind of like, I don't know if I'd get if I'd shake his hand, but there's Brendan. There's Brendan. He's got a little Moogle on his shoulder. That's amazing. The Final Fantasy set for Magic the Gathering really... Like, I had already been toying around with getting back into Magic, and I, like everyone that I think has been a fan of Magic for a long time, has complicated feelings about the IPs that get tied in, but sometimes they tie in an IP that I'm really big fan of, and they do a really good job with it. So I have 4 binders full of dang cardboard where I've just been collecting and trying to get my hands on everything that they're doing. Now, I could very easily speak for hours and hours on Final Fantasy, but you very wisely, I think, asked me, hey, let's drill down on that to do let's talk about a particular Final Fantasy flavor, if you will.
Yeah. One of my favorite, I think I'm not quiet about this fact, one of my favorite Final Fantasy flavors, which is the world of Ivalice, the world especially of, and specifically, Final Fantasy XII.
Final Fantasy XII, my secret favorite. The one that when I'm not in a forum debate or I'm on a social media platform where I have to give the correct opinion or get hounded or need to defend it, the one that I hold in my heart where I'm like, this one's for me, Final Fantasy XII.
It's we'll get into the cards soon. But
Juliet, why do you love Final Fantasy XII?
that's a great question. One reason is like an interesting logistical reason. Final Fantasy XII is a beautiful game.
Gorgeous.
And especially having recently played through the remaster of 10 and the remaster of 12, it is like the furthest night and day possible, where the remaster of 12 looks exceptional. It looks beautiful. And the remaster of 10, it's like, oh my goodness, please don't show people's faces at any point. Final Fantasy XII is great. The Switch port is fantastic. It came out extremely late in the PS2's life cycle, so it was able to use kind of more than it should be able to. And the stylization that they did, that kind of like painterly style to things, makes the graphics hold up even in their original and in the remaster. But also, I'm going to say Final Fantasy XII is the best Star Wars video game ever made.
I think I can get on board with that. Yeah. People love to talk trash about my sweet darling boy Vaughn. They like to put Vaughn up against such knuckleheads as Zidane and Squall and Cloud, and say, how can you possibly count Vaughn as one of these? To which I say, you fool, you knucklehead, you goober. Vaughn is the point of view character. Vaughn isn't the hero of the story. Ash is the hero of the story. What's wrong with you?
The other thing that makes this particularly interesting for us to talk about today is there was the big Final Fantasy set.
Right.
And Ivalice, as a setting across multiple different Square Enix property games, across multiple different Final Fantasies, has the smallest pie share of the whole Final Fantasy set. 12 got, if you're generous, 12 cards. That means you're including the front and back of one of the cards, and you're including the Cid card that, is just the same Cid with different art everywhere.
A rare evil Cid.
Yeah, the quote-unquote first Cid antagonist. Personally, I prefer Al Cid.
Who wouldn't?
The good guy Cid in 12, but who is technically not the Cid from Square, the makers of Final Fantasy, because Al Cid does not provide you with flying transportation. Therefore, he can't be a Cid, which I find very funny. But if you want a podcast talking more about Alcide Margrave from Rosaria from Final Fantasy XII, you can check out the current season of Friends at the Table, where Janine is basically playing that character.
Perfect.
As I can tell.
Yeah. We'll talk more about Alcide Margraves. I have ideas.
But yeah, we've got a few cards here. We have a uncommon version of Ash. We have Undercity Dire Rat as a big part of our Final Fantasy XII representation, which is just a bear for 1 and a black that when it dies, create a treasure token. Ooh, wow. So flavorful.
I mean,
so great.
I do think out of all of the Final Fantasy XII cards, that's the one I've played the most.
Yeah.
Like, it slots easily into any black deck. So it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I have Undercity Dire Rat here?
There's Fate of the Suncrest, which is a really important part of the plot. It's 4 and a white for a common instant with destroy target non-land permanent, and it costs 2 and a white instead of 4 and a white if it targets a tapped creature. So it's overcosted removal. You'll play it in limited for sure, but probably not elsewhere. And Balthier, the leading man, not the main character or the protagonist, but the leading man of Final Fantasy XII, doesn't get his own card. I do like Balthier and Fran as a combo. I think they are the best. Like, what if Han Solo was kind of Jyn Erso, but also used to be Darth Vader? Like, that's
sure, yeah.
And the Gideon Emery voice and everything, but they've got a legend together.
Is Fran not Chewbacca in this situation?
Yeah, Fran is Chewbacca, but I think she's the best Chewbacca.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like, the fact that she can actually speak and have like opinions and dialogue and discourse and a history and histories, and these are things that I think are worthwhile. But they get a shared card together, really just focusing on vehicles. And I think the card probably with the biggest splash from the set would be Judge Magister Gabranth.
Yes,
being one of the archetype uncommons for white and a black. He, of course, is a legendary creature, human advisor knight. Uncommon. It's a 2/2 with menace, and whenever another creature or artifact you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Judge Magister Gabranth. Which is, I mean, that's also something that can easily fold into a lot of people's, different commander decks or aristocrats style play where you're sacrificing things. Then you've got a evasive beater.
Yeah, I think I see, out of all of the 12 cards, I think, that is, out of all the Final Fantasy 12 cards, not out of the list of 12 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from Dire Rat, I think Gabranth is who I see the most.
Trying to get into also like the flavor idea of it.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that Gabranth got chosen to be a card when lots of characters, including like major party members and like major players in the plot and everything, don't have like cards in canon Magic from 12.
There's a lot left on the table here. Yeah, like having Gabranth but not Bosch is like a really interesting ideological statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess hypothetically, Bosch does eventually take the title of Judge Magister Gabranth.
Sure.
So you could say that this is both the first one and the second one. Gabranth is one reason why Final Fantasy XII, I think, is one of the best Star Wars media properties, is because they go, Darth Vader's cool. What if we had a bunch of different Darth Vaders? And that's what the judges are. They are wizard knights who can go and do lots of powerful things and have political power from being judges in the Arcadian Empire. But also, their voices are kind of echoey and cavernous in their big knight helmets, and they are, they're shot by the camera like Darth Vader is. They're cool. It is that kind of idea.
They march directly towards you in an ominous way. It's like, what if the evil empire had a Sentai team of slightly different Darth Vaders, each of which it will menace you in a slightly different way?
And some of which might be more loyal to different members of the imperial family or to the Senate or to their own ambitions.
Yeah. These are not a unified, voiceless horde. These people have, different interests and different motivations and different priorities and stuff like that.
And multiple of them can be the son or father of other important characters, or the identical twin.
but who will it be? I'll never tell.
Absolutely.
If anything, I kind of, in the promotional material, especially in the early days of 12, I think the judges were a really big part of like what that looks like. I mean, Gabranth, correct me if I'm wrong, but is the like title character, literally like the Amano art over the background. And so I think definitely if I were in Wizard's shoes and I was saying like, okay, well, what are the iconic things that I need to put together for Final Fantasy 12? Having at least one of the judges and the title judge would certainly be a big part of that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think it does feel like they got that and then said, that's good enough.
Yes.
And we'll just fill in the rest.
Yeah. I would have much rather had all 5 judges.
Can you tell me a little bit about Vane's Treachery, a 1-in-black common instant with target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn, kicker, sacrifice an artifact or creature, and if this spell was kicked, that creature gets -6/-6 instead of the -2/-2.
This is a card that you will see in Limited and nowhere else. And you know how sometimes a card just has that zazz, that oomph, that kind of like, I get it. That's great. And I think in particular for Black's really straightforward effects, cards like Murder, cards like Shiv, stuff like that, where it's like Shot the Sheriff, destroy target non-outlaw creature. Cards that just are like really straightforward, really, really flavorful, and really elegant in their execution. I look at Vane's Treachery and I feel like, okay, I get it. And this is really me being precious about my design, but here I am. This card just doesn't have it like that. Like, it's kind of difficult to tell what's going on in the picture. I only know what's going on because I've played and internalized all of Final Fantasy XII. But that's his dad. That's Vane's dad is back there and he's super dead and Vane's blaming it on someone else and taking over the Empire. But there's not even room on the text on the text box for like a flavorful line to tell you that that's what's going on here.
Instead, we need the whole reminder text for kicker, which it's a comment. This is a set bought by people who don't play Magic. It's fine. I have often thought about this card because I have a lot of emotions about the Solidor family,
Yeah.
about them, and that like Vane's treachery. You could even do like here's 3 different cards or 3 different arts of like him doing treacherous things at different points in time, whether that's
Yeah, a vein cycle. That'd be good.
killing all of his brothers except for his youngest in a very like Itachi Sasuke
Hmm.
sort of way,
Yes, yes,
whether
yes.
that is killing his father and blaming it on the Senate in an excuse to do a like I am the Senate, I am the empire sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Or the kind of events that set up the start of the game where he shows up in Damaska in Rabanastre and says, oh, people, I understand you won't like me, but I wish that we could find peace together. And then he sets up this big like celebration for him as a way to bait the rebellion to try to do like an assassination on him so
Yeah.
that he can take out the whole rebellion. And it's like, oh, he did.
It's good. He's a
Yeah,
good
that is
bad guy.
Vane's treachery. Yeah.
Vane's treachery. I'm thinking about what do we do with this card?
Mhm.
If this weren't a set where sagas were summons, then I would say this should be a saga where it's like
Oh.
this is step 1 of the plan, this is step 2 of the plan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or
Mhm.
something like that. I know there's a couple
Yeah.
other cards that or card types that follow that kind of do one thing and then one thing and then one thing kind of pattern.
Yeah, we've definitely found that sagas are the like major one.
Mhm.
Obviously, you can make things like that happen with creatures or planeswalkers, and you can do that sometimes with like loyalty counter economy with planeswalkers, where like, well, you have to do this one in order to enable the second ability.
Right.
And in the custom space, there's definitely lots of exploration of, well, what if there was an artifact type that had the same sort of once per turn structure of a saga? Or what if there was, what if you had a battle it was counting down until it, but you could like attack it to count it down further
Right.
or things like that. So speaking of the Solidors, something that I was really hoping for when the initial spoilers were coming out, and I was like, okay, how in depth, how niche of a character are we going to get from each of the games?
Mhm.
And when I saw there was like a Trommel Guado from Final Fantasy X card, I'm like, great. If this guy got a card, all of my favorite characters have to show up on
Surely.
cards. And I'm so excited to see them.
Yeah.
And that turned out not to be the case for most of the Final Fantasy XII party, including my favorite character, who is a party member twice, but not a like full-time party member. And that is Larsa Fairness Solidor, the youngest brother / youngest son of the Solidor line.
Lars is so good.
There's some really interesting stuff done there with Larsa and Penelo, who is another kind of desert orphan alongside Vaughn, and a kind of inversion of the Kid Anakin Padme situation from Star Wars Episode 1, where instead you have the younger one being the one with the like political power and title and everything. And so you have this interesting kind of cross mismatch in that the poorer one is the one who is like older and more experienced and is like, oh wow, I'm kind of bewildered to be in these novel circumstances, like meeting a prince.
The more worldly here, let me show you the ropes, kid, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And the two of them fit together as a fun little combo, so that then Vaughn and Ash can have not a like romantic connection, but a connection over the fact that they both have this really specific grief that then turns out to be that grief is manifesting in the form of these like ghosts that, well, maybe those ghosts are actually other things trying to play on that grief.
Maybe the gods are trying to push us towards a particular destiny.
But I was really sad to not see a Larsa card, and then in the Through the Ages set, which is just Final Fantasy concept art put on existing Magic cards, not always cosmetically well. There is a card that has Larsa on it, but the card name is Vane Karuta Solidor, and it's Finn the Fangbearer from Call Time.
Yeah. First of all, I was glad to see Vane got a card. I thought Fang was a good enough pairing
Mm-hmm.
for that. I do want to say that the way the text is overlaid on the Final Fantasy XII art in particular is criminal and out of control. Any attempts to read Von Aspiring Sky Pirate, which is, not a bad card, but it's like staring at a magic eye picture. It's so difficult to put things together. They really needed a stronger drop shadow or something like that on here.
Stronger drop shadow, a willingness to go in and like blur background elements or things like that. But they really took the art and just said, here it is.
That's good enough.
Sell the product. Yeah.
Can I do a brief aside on Pinello?
Please do. Please do.
I have started replaying Final Fantasy XII in anticipation of this episode. And
Great.
I have played it many times before. I've beaten it, I think, 3 times. And so I feel perfectly comfortable like picking it up and playing it. Certainly, I've played the opening hours many, many times. And so I have a pretty clear idea of what it is that I want to do. But I'm thinking like, all right, how many more Final Fantasy XII playthroughs do I really have in me?
Mm-hmm.
This time, I'm going to go all out. This time, I'm going to look up some walkthroughs and I'm going to really like maximize what it is that I'm doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the optimal playthrough from the very beginning is to kill Vaughn as soon as you get Pinello so that he can't gain experience points. And then take Pinello out to the Wester Sands with as many Phoenix Downs as you can scrounge up. Drop her health to within 10% of its maximum. Cross over into this other area where this
Right. Mm-hmm.
special monster will spawn, a sort of Grim Reaper type thing that only spawns if your character is within 10% max health. But it's an undead, so you can use the Phoenix Down to instant kill it. And then if you zone back into the previous area before its body finishes fading out, then the game won't have realized that the enemy has already spawned once and it shouldn't do it again. So you can cross back over and farm it over and over and over again and get Pinello up to like level 50 or whatever in order to play the opening hours of Final Fantasy XII. It's goofy. It's real goofy, and I'm here for big strong Pinello.
I have read about this strat. I have never thought to actually do it in practice, but that is very fun. I can't help but give Pinello a big gun. Basically, every time I play, I'm like, yeah, she'll be a white mage and also have a big gun.
Yeah.
And just like the idea of her holding this thing and kind of like she shoots it and then hops backward, like just from the kickback of it. I think Pinello is great. I love the tiny little wings on the back of her like jumpsuit.
Can we talk about the character designs, like the visual aesthetic designs of this game?
There might be some rabbit holes we go down. So for the Final Fantasies that had a special focus to them, they got a commander deck that's just cards from that game.
Do you want to build a Final Fantasy XII commander deck?
I think that'd be a fun thing to do in the same way that we got to see, like, there was the Final Fantasy X one with, I believe it's Yuna and Tidus in kind of Bant, blue, white, green. The Final Fantasy VII one with Tifa and Cloud in Naya, red, green, white, and that sort of thing. I would love to know what character or what 2 characters should be the sort of face commanders, and what color pie would we want to build from?
That's very interesting. So my gut reaction is Ash. I said before, Ash is the hero of the story, and I truly believe that. I think that she makes a lot of sense as like not merely like the focus of the dramatic action, but like the leader of the party, the person who is like, this is what we need to do, let's go do that. And so it's very easy to think like Ash Vaughn or Ash Bosch.
Ash Bosch could be interesting.
That said, that's my gut reaction. It would be entertaining to do something askew from that of like Pinello Larsa or something like that.
Pinello Larsa!
Yeah.
So, I mean, one way we could maybe narrow this down would be thinking about what colors do we see for, let's look at Ash, Bosch, Pinello, Larsa, and let's add Balthier in there.
Sure, absolutely. Balthier would be upset if we hadn't at least considered him.
Yeah, the leading man. What sort of colors do you think you would apply to these characters in kind of a vacuum?
All right, well, let's keep talking about Larsa because wanted to talk a little bit about Larsa a lot for the past 20 years. Larsa, I think, has to have some blue.
Yeah.
Because we first meet Larsa with a different name and lying about his agenda.
To go into a mine to look at some like scientific stuff to verify some
To discover the existence of manufactured nethicite.
Exactly. So I'm thinking blue. Larsa also wants kind of a peace and unity between peoples. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking a white.
And then maybe also black to reflect the fact that at the end of the day, he is a Solidor.
Yeah, he is a member of the Imperial family. And like a lot of bad people listen to the things that he says, that does affect your kind of presence in the world.
Yeah, white, blue, black feels right.
Okay, not necessarily being limited to that. We can adjust these things. What about Ash? Shalia Benargan Dalamaska, the princess. She is our Princess Leia figure in the sense of she is a princess leading a rebellion movement who we also rescue from a big spaceship. In this case, it's like a Star Destroyer rather than the Death Star itself. But it is very much that sort of situation with her. But then she also does go on to make a big decision about whether we should keep repeating cycles of history or kind of break destiny and hope that we can lead to a different future, even if we don't have the magic tools to do so.
So Ash, as you said at the top of the show, Ash is already in the set as white, which I think is absolutely incorrect. I think Ash should be red-white, no question. If only because that's what Rabanaster's colors are.
Sure.
You know, she's got both the I'm doing this for the people, I'm going to save everyone vibes of white, but she's also here to take decisive action and fight on the behalf of revolution. And so maybe not revolution, rebellion, more likely.
She also has a lot of anger in her, kind of built into grief. And so I would wonder whether maybe not as the dominant thing, but maybe there could also be some black.
I could see black, absolutely. I mean, you know, again, there's a cycle of rulership that she has been born into and has to decide whether or not she's going to continue to be a part of that. And so I think black makes a lot of sense.
What about Penelo?
Gosh. Penelo might be the proper choice for just mono white.
Mono white?
I mean, she's also from Rabanaster, and so it's tempting to be like, well, child of the desert, from the street, scrappy orphan might work well as red-white as well. But a lot of what we see from Penelo, especially in the early hours of the game, is tempering Vaughn's more hot-headed impulses and stuff like that. Like she's, you know, the calmer, wiser counterpart to him. And so I kind of think mono white suits her better. I could see maybe dipping into green or something like that, but I don't have as strong a case for that.
Sure. What about Bosch von Ronsenberg of Dalmasca?
Well, first of all, Bosch lives. And it's important not to believe Ondore's lies.
How did they not make a card about it?
I don't... Of all the things you make a card of, absolutely criminal.
I'm Captain Bosch. So Bosch he wears a big red vest.
He does. I don't think of him as red aligned, though.
So Bosch has been framed for the murder of the previous king and has been imprisoned for years in a weird bid by the Empire to like hold him as hostage so that they can reveal that he's still alive if they need to mess with some other nobility. It's complicated, but basically everybody thinks he's the world's worst traitor. He's been 3 versions of Judas, and he finally is able to break out, and he's like, well, I still have a duty and obligation towards justice or towards serving Ash for the most part. It's an interesting sort of question about like how much do you carry the stories and attitudes other people have about this character versus like what their intentions are in the world.
And like, you know, what do you do in the face of, you know, truly horrible things happening to you as you try to do what you think is right? Like, at what point are you willing to give up? I kind of feel like Bosch might be black-white.
Black-white?
to reflect like that shared tragedy and nobility, I think, that sums him up.
And that's an interesting parallel to Judge Magister Gabranth, who's also
Interesting.
black-white and shares a familial connection with Bosch.
Weird.
Then let's look at Balthier, our suave leading man who actually is significantly deeper than he seems and good at everything and has a tragic past and wants to like save the world, but you never it takes a long time for you to realize why and what he's doing because his tragic backstory waits a long time, and then he keeps just being the most charming man in like the history of video games.
He's good. I like looking at him.
Uh-huh.
I've taken the lead on a lot of these. What do you think of when you think of Balthier?
He can be all things to all, like it really depends on which part of your story.
That's true.
I think I would start by looking at jeskai, maybe red, white, blue. He's a sky pirate. He's a bounty hunter, but only in a really specific sense, like going for elite marks and everything. He's not bringing people to the Empire. He's being chased by bounty hunters.
Right. He's on the wrong side of the law in a couple of different ways.
He is the Cowboy Bebop. He is the Han Solo. He is the all of these things.
What if Han Solo was married to Beyonce?
Instead of what if Han Solo was Beyonce?
Exactly. Yeah.
As the saying goes. What if, for listeners at home, you can look up the phrase, what if Han Solo was Beyonce? And
who knows what you'll find?
An old podcast called Counterweight that I bet is pretty good.
I think so.
So he's good with machines. He's also interested in magic. He has this really specific kind of vendetta and focus on nethicite and the use of deifacted nethicite and manufactured nethicite to do war crimes, basically. Not that he's trying to stop war crimes from happening.
He has a familial link to someone who might be doing war crimes.
Yeah, specifically of the like magitechnical variety. And so it's like, is he green because he's like trying to do disenchant style stuff? Is he blue because he's really good with machines? Is he blue because he flies a little spacecraft sort of thing?
I think blue for the technical angle and red for the like outlaw sky pirate have got to both be there. I think the third color I'm still kind of wishy-washy on, but I think red blue for sure.
Could he be red, blue, green?
He could.
It feels weird to not have the white in there when he's like this extremely dashing, charming person who's also like trying to stop war from breaking out. But like, I think you can do those things. You can accomplish that with red, blue, green. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to his credit, he's very cavalier about what he's actually trying to do. You know what I mean? He's pretty he's good at having constructed this persona of what it is that he's trying to do in order to mask the thing that he's actually trying to do.
So we've got a few different kind of color establishments here. Are you drawn to any of them to try to kind of fit a bunch of characters within a set of 3?
These are all really exciting, but I think if I'm honest, Balthier's like he's multidimensional in a way that he's arguably the most multidimensional character in the entire game that I think makes him compelling in a way. I think that makes him selfishly like kind of the easiest to build around of like, oh, you can build in some vehicle stuff or some disenchant stuff or some crime stuff, that kind of thing.
It also has the mild benefit of the existing Final Fantasy commander decks are Bant, Esper, Mardu, and Naya. So that's 4, that's not all, allied or enemy or anything. So Temur, red, blue, green, would be getting us into new space. Jeskai would also be getting us into new space.
Totally.
If either of those kind of capture that identity in a better way. If we make Balthier Temur, we could try to fit some things, but Jeskai means we could fit a lot of these characters in as like red, white, or blue, white, which I think might work for us.
It might, yeah. I was thinking actually like, again, the Final Fantasy Commander decks have a really clear, like, this is the commander, and then this is your like second in command character that shares those colors, but is like another cool, rare, legendary character from that same game. Like the Terra deck, you also get Celis. With Cloud, you get Tifa. With Balthier, presumably you would want Fran as the secondary character there. And I feel like Fran has got to have some green.
Sure.
I think green's got to be there if we're going to also design a Fran card to go with Balthier.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Now, okay. Think about this for a second. What if Balthier was white, blue, green?
White, blue, green. So that would be like Tidus.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true. Let's not do that. Cut that out.
The other, though, if we did go jeskai, and we had Balthier as jeskai, and then the Strahl, like the airship that we fly,
that's
as
true.
the second commander.
That'd be good.
And then, in the same way that some of the cards have different colors in the commander deck, like monocolor legends versus their appearances, we could make like a red Fran or a red blue Fran.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. White, red, blue.
Yeah. Themes you've mentioned. So disenchants, vehicles, maybe. You mentioned before the existing Balthier and Fran card. I kind of dislike how vehicle centric it is. I think having vehicles in the mix is fun, but if I'm perfectly honest, even though he's a sky pirate, vehicles aren't the main thing that I think of when I think of Balthier, and so having that as like a core of like his commander identity isn't necessarily interesting to me. Sure.
But then we could also design two different commanders.
Yeah, we could have Balthier not mention vehicles at all.
Right.
But have the alternate commander there, the Strahl, be like, hey, here's your vehicle thing, and the vehicle is your commander, so you don't need to have actually 16 or 25 vehicles in your deck. You've got one in the commander slot.
Yeah.
Blue, white, red disenchants is maybe... It's like, well, that's not quite it. There's the quickenings in like the mist chains.
Those are cool.
Together. Should this be a storm deck?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Because so in every Final Fantasy game, there's your limit break sort of idea. And in 12, you have these weird things called quickenings, which if you can chain them together by hitting the button prompts or shuffling to get them back in your pool and then hit the button prompts and get the timing to work out. And if you get enough of them in a row, they unlock bigger, like splashier effects that then help you easily win certain boss fights.
Yeah.
And so we could blue, white, red, mist. Now I'm thinking more teamer. But if we want to hit just a few of our kind of big legends that we would see in here, if we are going jeskai, then Ash can be red, white. Penelo could be mono white. I think under that. Larsa could be blue, white. Fran could be red, blue. I suppose Vaughn would probably need to be there.
That's Vaughn's thing. Vaughn is there. We could do a new mono red for Vaughn.
Yeah, new mono red for Vaughn I think makes sense. And
Bosch could be mono white, I guess.
Mono white?
Or white blue?
Wait, what if we did like a Fate Reforged style, like mono white but with like a blue red activated ability?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's a great idea.
And am I forgetting? I mean, obviously we have all of the other any other characters we want to aim to hit.
I mean, if you want to get Miguelo in there, I'm not going to stop you.
Miguelo is fun and could easily be mono blue.
Sure.
Do we want El Cid as a blue red? Just mono red?
Blue red. I think I've got an idea for a El Cid card that I think works well for blue red.
Do you want to start it with El Cid?
Sure.
If you've got an idea.
El Cid's whole deal is he's from the Kingdom of Rosaria and he's here to like stop war from happening with Arcadia. And he's very good at making an entrance. So I think El Cid's got to have flash.
Great.
And I think what El Cid does is enters the battlefield and untaps an attacking creature and removes it from combat.
Removes it from combat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like, no. We don't need to fight. We don't need to fight. I'm El Cid. Look at my sunglasses.
He does have sunglasses that he then can fold and hand to. I think also when he enters, he has to create 2 like 1/1 human tokens.
Yes.
Just these beautiful women who don't say anything and just follow him and like carry his sunglasses.
That's
and stuff
good.
For him.
That's the red part. That's very good.
Okay, I'm going to take 60 seconds to look up
Okay.
if there have been any removed from combat effects in blue. There probably have been. Wow, Bill Ferny, Bree Swindler.
You know, that
Yeah.
classic character. Everyone remembers my favorite Lord of the Rings character, Bill Ferny, Bree Swindler.
Should Al Cid be all three colors?
He's a rival leading man. Why not? Yeah, three colors.
We're making it happen. Al
Yeah.
Cid, blue right wed, flash, enters the battlefield, untap an attacking creature, remove it from combat. Okay. I've got an idea.
Uh-huh.
What if El Cid enters with flash and creates 2 1/1s, but then has the ability tap 3 creatures you control?
Yes. This is good.
A Maze of Ith target creature.
That's very good.
And so you have this ETB, but rather than you can try to ambush a creature, or you can put 3 creatures in and then immediately try to remove something from combat.
I like that a lot because that means he's got to have his entourage in order to make the thing work.
Mm-hmm. Call him a 2/1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun splashy.
Let's deal with Vaughn.
Let's go with Vaughn.
Vaughn, what are you doing here?
A mono red Vaughn.
I like Vaughn interacting with treasure tokens. I think that's a sensible thing for Vaughn to do.
Sure.
Although I will say, Vaughn is a street thief. I get this. He's a little urchin. He's robbing the rich and giving to himself or to the people of Rabanastre, depending on what day it is. My enduring memory of Vaughn isn't being a thief, but rather doing bounties for the hunter board. Because that's what you spend your time doing, is just doing that over and over and over again, going out and fighting, tomatoes or big dogs or whatever.
Oh, my turtle, I kept as a pet, but it got too big. I had to let it go in the mines. Can you go deal with the rock toys?
Exactly.
Yeah. I wonder whether something to do with Vaughn and legends, whether legendary artifact. Because the big thing that he does, he does a little bit of pickpocketing sort of stuff, but the big thing that he steals, he then also holds on to for a good portion of the game.
Right.
And kind of the reason Vaughn is still around is he's the guy holding on to this priceless artifact.
Mm-hmm.
And also thinking about, we probably won't have a ton of treasure creation in a
that's true.
jeskai sort of color thing. So can you help me find a red way to say defeat a big creature, create a legendary treasure?
Draft a treasure or something like that.
Draft treasure?
From
a spell book?
Yeah, like in the way that you can draft from a spell book. Maybe there's a list of potential treasures that you can get a hold of.
Mm-hmm. Draft a treasure. Is it Vaughn enters, you put a bounty counter on a creature, and when it dies, draft it?
Oh, that's good. That's very good. Yeah.
Draft a treasure, and one of the treasures is Oblivion Stone.
Of course.
To be kind of the this little priceless artifact. Whoops! It's one of the 4 nuclear weapons that exists in this setting.
Sometimes that's what Vaughn gets his hands on.
Going from Vaughn, do we want to try jumping to Balthier as a more active sky pirate? Do we want to go to Pinello as a partner? Where do we want to go from here?
Let's talk about Balthier, so we've got a stronger idea of what the deck overall does.
Sure.
I think that's probably wise.
Yeah. So our 2 designs so far involve a certain amount of board control things. We're creating tokens. We're tapping things. I wonder. Thinking about the Final Fantasy X deck being very counters focused, and with all the saga summon creatures and everything, I wonder if a tokens focus. We can't red, white, blue. Clues don't really fit this theme very well.
That's true.
I was trying to think other tokens. Blood also doesn't fit, so maybe not tokens.
Arv Balthier is a vampire.
That's how he's.
And he's
able
a white,
to...
red, blue vampire.
We could have a looting theme. We talked about Storm potentially.
Right.
We could fit Storm in here somehow. Maybe Vaughn's drafting you a coalition relic sort of thing that you can use for your Storm. We could do a artifact focus. That's pretty easy to get to with red, white, blue.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at, where the treasure hunters of the crew the orphans who are stealing things, but also the nobles are all after these weird artifacts and stuff like that. Like Larsa is after the manufactured nethicite. Ash is looking for the Sword of Kings and the Dawn Shard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going after MacGuffins is pretty central to a lot of the vibes for what people are actually trying to do over the course of the game. And so I think an artifact focus kind of works.
What if we do, and I'm pretty sure this has been briefly touched on in like the Assassin's Creed set, but that's fine. What if we do a legendary artifact
Okay.
focus
Yeah.
as a thing? Because I think we could get there with Balthier, have the Strahl potentially as one of those, and so it happens to be a vehicle, and so it's useful for these things.
Right.
But it's a legendary artifact, and then have
a bunch of other ones
these,
that you could go chase after if you need them instead. That's great.
A few nethicite cards that are so legendary artifacts, legendary artifact destruction / disenchant.
Yeah, because then you could have like sacrifice a legendary artifact, exile all creatures or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, something more balanced, but something equivalent to the bomb that you're setting off, right?
Yeah, like the Fall of Nabudis.
Mm-hmm.
2 white as an additional cost. Like you could sack a legendary artifact to reduce the cost by 2, destroy all creatures. It's
okay, actually, finish what you were saying.
Here's a wrath that if you want to sacrifice one of the things that would survive the wrath, you can do it easier, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another legendary character that I wanted to get in here that I'd forgotten about until now, which is that I thought it was such a shame that we didn't get any Final Fantasy XII summons, because Final Fantasy XIIs are the most interesting summons in the entire series.
Sure.
And Belias is the only one that is required engagement as part of the campaign, and is the guardian of the Tomb of Wraithwall. And so I think, and is red. There's already a few red fire-based summons in there already, but that does mean we could fit it into the Balthier deck. But I like the idea of like a Belias that you cast that like produces fire effects for the first few counters. And then when it activates its ultimate, it's like, okay, you've defeated Belias, which means you get to search your library for a legendary artifact and put it into play. This
deals damage equal to counters to each creature and you.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
And so this is definitely red. How do you feel color-wise for Belias and for enduring this and then fetching an artifact and trying to think of all of like God Pharaoh's gift sort of things, whether that's a legendary artifact or not. But I mean, we'll put some in the God Pharaoh's gift is not a legendary artifact. God Pharaoh's statue is. So it's easy for me to get confused that also Throne of the God Pharaoh is also.
Of course.
How could I ever make that mistake?
Is this maybe double red? Is this like...
Sure.
2 and 2 red.
2 and 2 red. Great.
Yeah, that means on turn 7 you get a legendary artifact.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Searching up a 7 mana legendary artifact that wins you the game on turn 7 is like, yeah, we're in good territory there, I think.
Yeah, totally. If it's mono red, this will fit into my Cloud X-Soldier Commander deck just fine.
Let's look at Captain Bosch.
Let's do it. We said mono white with a red-blue activated ability.
Like a big creature that removes itself from the battlefield. You know what I mean? Like it's there and then it's gone and then you can bring it back. But Bosch is also like self-suffering. I don't know if there's a way to make a like Norin the Wary style effect, but make it seem very like, I will endure anything instead of I will run away from everything.
What if Bosch is an adventure?
Okay.
And the adventure effect is like representing like, so you've got the creature half, but the adventure half is like Bosch taking on whatever it needs to be taken on and going into exile as if he's being imprisoned. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Stint in Albina.
Right.
Or just held hostage.
Right.
Who knows? Yeah. And so why would you cast the blue-red part?
Well, I mean, I guess I was thinking like So is the blue red, we think maybe the cost for the adventure, half of it or something like that?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess why would we cast the adventure that takes him away?
Unfortunately, bad things happen to Bosch in order to put him in prison.
Yeah.
So
the treaty is about to be signed, or the treaty just has been signed. And then the king of Damaska, who's like, listen, I'll sign over the kingdom just so that we don't have a massacre.
Mm-hmm.
And the invading empire is like, sure, totally. And then the invading empire, Arcades, sets up the situation such that it seems like Bosch has then killed the king in anger to try to stop this peace, so that the empire has more of an excuse to invade from like a military perspective. And so, like, treaty broken, you can
it could be
get a bunch of clues or sacrifice them.
It could generating clues is fun. It could also be a red effect that like reflects not Bosch's action but the Empire's action. Like Rex gets stabbed in the back. I could see it as like a bounce effect or something like that. Bosch goes to jail, but that sends someone back to their hand or something like that.
Okay, weird idea. An adventure, and maybe the adventure part's white, maybe it's, who knows, we'll figure out the color.
Sure.
An adventure with exile target creature until this card leaves exile.
Yes. That's very good, Juliet.
Because part of the hold that the Empire has over Marquis Ondore of Bujerba is the fact that they can reveal that they made Marquis Ondore announce that Bosch was dead.
Right.
And so Bosch living and being free both complicates things for Marquis Ondore and then allows Ondore to come back to the battlefield and be like, yes, I'll Mon Mothma this rebellion.
Is this the Bosch lives card?
I think so. In a funny way that like the Bosch lives is you casting the creature.
Yeah. But maybe Bosch lives is the flavor text at the bottom of Bosch's card.
Yeah. So I think if we're Oblivion ringing, the adventure part has to be white. Or it could be gold, including white.
Sure.
So maybe another card will have our sort of hybrid thing. What do we want the main card of Bosch to be?
I think Bosch has vigilance.
How about haste and vigilance?
Yeah, that's good.
Love a hasty vigilance. Could Bosch himself be blue-red within a white adventure?
I think so.
I worry that this adventure is too cheap, but
sure.
I suppose we can see. So the adventure 2 and a white, for sorcery, exiled target creature until this card leaves exile. And somebody can tell us whether and how that breaks the rules, but that's fine because for player, they would be able to interpret it. And then 2 red, blue for like a haste vigilance 3/5.
Sure. That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I'm happy to make changes to any of these cards as soon as I start playtesting them.
We'll make that a 3. We'll make it a 5-mana haste vigilance 3/5. Just who knows? And then maybe you want to spend it, maybe you don't.
Maybe you just leave them in jail for the rest of the game.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you do, and maybe one of your Bosches needs to die before you put the next one.
That's right. Okay. I think we should do Balthier, and I think we should do Larsa, given our fandom for Larsa.
Great. I think that makes a lot of sense. And both of them probably will then tell us a little bit about what we want from our legendary artifacts.
Agreed.
So Balthier, the face of this, the leading man, Balthier, leading man.
Yes.
Probably has red, white, blue in his cost just to make it real obvious on the front of the thing what the colors of the deck are. What ability should Balthier leading man have, and how should he interact with legendary artifacts?
I think giving Balthier some way to fetch legendary artifacts might be interesting. You know who I'm thinking of here is oh dear.
Is it Godo from the original Kamigawa?
You know what? That wasn't who it was, but I'm going to look them up now.
Godo Bandit Warlord. I was just like, what would be the stretch pull, but who is actually kind of connected? Because
Okay. I could see this. You know who I was thinking of was Loot.
Oh.
Yeah. And Loot's ability to just like tap for 6, put a creature from the top 6 cards of your library into play.
Loot Exuberant Explorer from Magic Foundations. I was thinking of Loot Key to Everything or Loot the Pathfinder.
Right, of course. Yes.
So Loot, is 2 and a green for a 1/4 legendary creature, beast noble at rare. With you may play an additional land on each of your turns and pay 4 green and tap. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them. Put it onto the battlefield. So that's fun. We could instead be looking for, if it's an artifact, you put it into your hand. If it's a legendary artifact, you put it onto the battlefield.
I like that.
Search top 6 for, in that way you need some density of them rather than here are my 2 fetch targets. I need them to be around, which is dangerous but also limiting in its own way.
Sure.
Do we want that to be a mana and a tap trigger? Do we want this to be... I don't want to just hold us to attacking because, Balthier can do lots of things, including crewing and stuff like that. But
yeah, it makes sense that rather than, loot is very much looking through your own library. Balthier as a sky pirate makes a lot of sense to need to be on the attack or committing a crime in order to achieve one of these effects or something like that. You know what I mean?
Tell me if this is too many triggers or whatever.
Okay.
When Balthier becomes tapped, search your top 6 for an artifact, put it in your hand. If you committed a crime and that artifact is legendary, put it onto the battlefield.
That is a lot. I appreciate where you're going with it. I think we could slim it down.
When Balthier commits a crime. Okay. Do we want that to be enters the battlefield kind of in your second main phase? Do we want that for Balthier? That Balthier kind of comes in and this is happening once rather than each turn once you can get the attacking going.
That's not bad, actually. I think that might actually be okay. Well, for commander, well, okay, hang on. Okay. There's the attitude of my commander needs to continue to do cool things once I've tapped them. But the other thing that you can do with your commander is you can have them take lethal damage and then leave, and then you can cast them over again. You can cast your commander a bunch of different times over the course of game if you're good at it. And so maybe Balthier has a when he comes into play effects.
And so it's all about getting him in. I mean, should he also have a self bounce ability or the equivalent of a phase in and out?
You've got to get rid of Balthier some other way. But here's what I think we give him. What if he has affinity for artifacts?
Okay.
Then it's you're encouraged to keep getting stuff and keep getting
because
them back
that reduces the colorless cost
exactly
of the commander tax. That's wild and fun.
Yeah.
I was thinking of activated ability that doesn't have a tap on it or whatever. That's just pay 8 mana.
Pay 8 mana, exile Balthier.
Oh, pay 8 mana, gain control of or destroy target artifact and opponent controls. And then if it's a legendary artifact, this ability costs 6 less or 8 less.
Oh, sure.
One of those classic sort of things. But I like the idea of a tying.
That could work for the straw, honestly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Straw as a pay big amount, reduce big amount. So we're switching this to enters. ETB, yeah. This thing is happening. And so we'll want some other... Do we want if crime put it onto the battlefield, or do we want if legend put it onto the battlefield?
I think just if legend, given that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can make the straw crime focused.
Yeah.
That's fun. A crime focused vehicle.
Yeah. There's not enough of those.
That's a niche, I think. So Balthier, leading man, it would be very funny to have affinity for artifacts and no colorless mana in his default. But I would guess that we probably want to make this a 4 or 5 mana.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, it can shortcut a legendary artifact onto the battlefield. I'm going conservative for 5 mana, 2 red, white, blue.
I think 5, yeah.
Because also affinity for artifacts is really easy to...
Especially in a commander deck, yeah, totally.
Yeah, should this be 3 or more? Should we put more color in the mana symbols? I'm wait a minute. This can go down on turn 3 very frequently. That's the problem with affinity.
I think let's put them at 6, and then after we play tested, we'll evaluate after that.
Sure. Any sort of traditional creature keywords or power and toughness?
feel like he needs something. White, red, and blue. First strike?
First strike. He's a leading man.
Yeah.
Something about suave.
He's
Something
making his
about, like,
entrance.
I wish there was a keyword for like flag bearer. I mean, what if we get? Do you know like the flag bearer ability?
I feel like I must have at some point.
It basically says like, hey, if you're going to target something I control, you have to target this one.
Oh, it's like a taunt.
Yeah. It's like getting aggro. I'm pretty sure it is a creature type, because the awful way they word it is that player must choose at least one flag bearer on the battlefield if able. But we're gonna shortcut this text and say opponents targeting creatures you control must target Balthier if able.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And that way, also he's leaving the battlefield so he can come back in.
Right? Yeah.
More frequently. It's like, oh, you beat Balthier. Well, Balthier's back, and I don't have to remove the commander text because I have artifacts in my deck.
That's very good.
3-2?
3-2.
3-3? 3-2? Yeah. 3-2 for 3 is the place to be, even if it technically has mana value 6.
Yeah. Yeah. 3-2 is good because that means, you can shock him. Sure. He'll be back, but you can shock him.
Let's look at Larsa Fairness Solidor.
Let's look at Larsa.
Larsa Willing Hostage. Larsa Inquisitive Prince. What element of Larsa do we want to highlight?
When you wrote Larsa Willing Hostage, do you know what I thought of?
What do you think of?
Sleeper Agent.
Sleeper Agent. Wow, the old got reprinted in 10th edition, right? Sleeper Agent?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
We got to make a Larsa that you give to an opponent.
A Larsa that you give to an opponent, and it costs them extra to cast artifact spells and attack?
Yeah. It's like Larsa's in the mines over the enemy's camp, is digging these things out and doesn't want you to have these things. Maybe like artifacts you cast cost 2 more and enter tapped.
Great. And then maybe like when you would attack costs 2 per creature, kind of a propaganda sort of effect. Yeah, but you're giving your opponent a creature on the battlefield, a little human noble.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm a 1/3.
Yeah, I was thinking 1/3.
Good at blocking. Cool. And the idea of also playing Larsa as a like commander, and being like, when this creature enters, target and be like, "Hi, my commander it's yours." Sorry, were you wanting to do an affinity start to get your Balthier out? Sorry, you've Larsa.
God, would that trigger the Magic Arena logic of like, do you want to put your commander into exile?
Thank you so much for joining me on this wild journey through a dozen or more, but a dozen is very fitting, Final Fantasy XII cards, Brendan.
Juliet, I've had such a good time. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to talk about Yogs. One of the... Okay, just imagine it's a white card. It's in Yogged. It stops things from flying, and stuff can't leave graveyards. There we go. We got it.
Yeah. Join us next time when we talk about chops.
The chop system and the.
There's a whole Sherazade card effect where you put aside your current cards, you play a separate chop space game.
It's great. And we talk about going to visit the Viera and the difference between the Feywood and the Sleekawood, and the we introduce mutate cards with the Ocuria and Venat.
Obviously.
But instead, if you would like to design some cards and hear us talk about it, we have our August design challenge going on, which is Objection. Design a card showcasing the new keyword objection, which could be a action keyword, a traditional keyword, an ability word, as you like. Our bonus points for this are Party of the First. The card should be or care about a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard, and Legal Brief, 4 lines of rules text or less, not counting the reminder text for the mechanic. And those submissions will be due August 29th.
Exciting.
So that's our podcast for this week. You can join our Discord with the link in the show notes. Thanks for coming on, Brendan. Anything else you'd like to tell people about?
Thank you so much. People can find the tabletop games that I make at sulcata.itch.io. You can listen to my design podcast at paperlabyrinths.com or wherever you get podcasts. And you can follow my blog at brendanmcleod.dev. You can also find me on Blue Sky at brendanmcleod.com.
Thanks for listening, and always remember...
I'm Captain Bosch. Always remember, don't listen to Ondore's lies.